Hello. So I have another game to play today that entails more dice. This one's a bit more intricate but diverse, and again, you can make it as easy or as complex as you would like. So I designed games purposely to give our dancers options because we have so many different skill levels that I want our dancers to be able to have fun but still be practicing the stuff we need for class. Today is all about adage. So it's our slow, or technically speaking, at leisure type moves. Now, when I get to some of the ballroom and social dancing stuff, then that takes a different turn, but the overall gist is there. So you can play with one dice, and when you roll it, you're going to want to find the number that lines up with the dot that you roll. So if I roll a 3, I'm going to do a chasse. Now, if you want to make it a bit more difficult, you could roll it again and do it that many times. But I was just going to have this go in order. So I would have one chasse. I would practice that chasse to a slower song. And then I would roll the dice again. Say I get a 4. Now I'm going to do a chasse and a passe. I'll start the music over, practice a chasse into a passe, and keep building the dance and see what orders I get. So that way we're practicing things that we know, but able to keep it building and try it in different orders, see what that does for us, and try different songs, things like that. We can also play this game with 2 dice. So now things get real crazy. I left the vocab terms a little open-ended. So for my dancers that know how to do different types of attitudes, you can choose a different type of attitude if you roll that one. If you get an arabesque, some of my dancers are practicing all of the arabesques. So if you only know cicchetti or the Italian method of arabesques, practice that. If you know your Russian set or your French sets, practice those as well. Like, make it so that the dance is your own. But when you're rolling with 2 dice, now you have a different set, and the first one is disregarded. All right. For our social dancers or our ballroom people, you can always practice with, like I said in class, even you can always use a cane or a broomstick as your partner because we want to make sure, especially right now, that we are practicing social distancing. So we don't want to get too close to our friends. You can practice your box steps and it'll give you different progressions. So you can do like a box step into a cross step or whatever you roll. This way it gives you a different variation every single time, which is exactly how you guys practice in class with me. Although I don't roll the dice in class, otherwise things could get a little interesting there. I also gave a different breakdown for our Latin dances. I did not do swing on this mix just because we haven't necessarily been able to elaborate all too much recently on swing, so I left that one off the board for today, but there is a swing version of this as well. So for our more Latin dances, like this can apply to like your cha-cha or your salsa. If you want, you can also mix in rumba, but bear in mind rumba would entail all of this then. So you can alter it based on what style you're dancing, but for the most part, the terms kind of stay the same. So for our breaks, you can do your breaks in your cha-cha dances or your salsa. You can also do your chases and your H formation in salsa. You obviously wouldn't be traveling nearly as far to the side. It's more condensed, but you would still get more of that side rotation happening. So again, it's nuance like that where you do have to kind of play a little bit to make it work. Then we have a real challenging set. So for my tap dancers, we have talked in class about the fact that there are 7 major families of tap. So for this one, you can roll the dice, and just like when we play our other dice game in class, I quiz you and see how many of the 7 families you remember, what we remember in each one of them, all that stuff. This breaks that down even further. So whatever you roll, say I roll a 4, practice your wings. Set that to the dance. So now this is obviously not a dodge the entire time, but you can slow down your wings. You can slow down your pullbacks. If you are not yet practicing a wing or a pullback, there's probably a good reason for it. You can do the simplistic form. So for a pullback, spank and step. If you roll a wing, just do a shuffle step. All right, so things like that you can adjust, so that way you're still able to practice, but within your skill set. Keep rolling the dice, see what orders you get, see what you can come up with. I mean, generally speaking, when you do a time step, you finish it off with a break. If you roll a break, you can just do a single time step ahead of it. If you roll a time step, you can just finish it off with a break. Some of those are interchangeable. One of the things that some of my dancers are also aware of would be the 7 main movements of dance. This applies primarily to ballet, but this is fairly applicable to all styles of dance. So for that, we have to dart, we have to stretch, we have to glide or to slide, we have to bend, we have to raise, and then down here I gave 2 options. So we have to jump and then to turn around. I purposely wrote the French terms for you so that way we are better understanding those. So for this bottom group, if you roll a 6, I want you to roll again. If you get an odd number, then you do what lines up with odd. If you get an even, you do what lines up with even. All right, so the 6 is kind of like your wild card, and you get to do a double roll. Play with it, see what you come up with. It's a good way to just practice the different stuff we do. And again, especially after doing hopscotch for our allegro, this gives us a good way to practice a lot of our adage and our slower stuff. I will post pictures of each one of these categories at the end of the video, so that way you can see that a little bit easier. I will see you tomorrow.